This tutorial is going to go over creating a selection so that you can apply a filter to it, but having it be a soft shaped selection. There's a couple different ways to do this. The easiest way is to use a selection tool and set a feather to, let's say, 20 pixels. So it's basically going to go from the outermost edge of the selection will be not selected at all, and then as it moves in across the 20 pixel feather, it will be 5% selected, 10% selected, 15% selected. And so when you apply the filter, it will only apply it at that level of intensity. So I'll draw a shape really quick. And now if I apply a filter, say Gaussian blur, you can see it has a soft transition here. So it's applying 100% Gaussian blur at the center, but then as it moves up, it sort of softens up. So that's one way, but that's also a very sort of even, all the same all the time, which is fine. You can do that. So that's the first way to do it. Okay, so we'll deselect that, undo the filter, deselect. Now we'll look at quick mask. So quick masks works a little bit differently. Instead of selecting, you're actually basically painting a mask using black, white, and all of the grays in between black and white. The 255 grays, 254 grays between black and white. So what you do is you can simply paint if you like. So we'll use a brush, we'll select black, and then we've turned on the mask, we clicked here. And so now when we paint, you can see we're putting down red. So once we have something we like, we deselect, and you can see the boundary around the outside. So that means everything that is outside of the areas where I painted the red is selected. And because the paint had a soft edge, the paintbrush had a soft edge, it's a blurred selection as well. So if I want to apply, I'll apply it this way first. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So you can see what's happening here. Kind of interesting. Look at it. Deselect. Yeah. Alternatively, if we go to select inverse, that turns this things that were selected, it deselects them, and the pixels that weren't selected, it selects them. So it basically inverses the selection. So now these sections that I painted are all selected. So if I go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, deselect. So you're starting to get sort of like these little bites here. You can also, again, with the brush, you're still working with sort of an even sort of edge in terms of it. The soft edge is consistent all the way around the shape of the brush. If you wanted to paint, we'll turn quick mask back on. Then we'll go to gradient, and so if I just click and drag, so it's going from black to white. It's so right at the center is 100% black, and right at the edge where I stop is 100% white. And so when I select that now, that means everything out here is selected, and in here it's not selected. So I'm going to invert that selection again. I just want the bottom. I'm going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, apply that so you can see what's happening. It's applying the blur most aggressively down here, and it gets progressively less aggressive as it moves up. Kind of to interesting effect. You can also build on your selection, and so let's select all that, delete it. So I'm starting fresh. I'm going to take my gradient tool, and I'm just going to kind of build up over time. And so you have to make sure that the mode is set to darken. If it's just set to normal, let's delete that again. If it's just set to normal, you'll see what happens here. So it's red here, it goes to white. If I go over here and go red here, it goes to white, it overwrites this, so it's not additive. If I want to layer it, then I have to set the mode to darken, and so that it'll only put color down. It'll only put the darker pixels down. It won't erase the white that I'm putting down. Right, so I'm kind of building that up. And you can see, if you go to channels, you can actually see what your mask looks like here. So it's getting some pretty interesting effects. So if I want to, you know, I can just work purely in black and white and not even see what I'm doing by just working directly on this in channels. So I'll go back to layers. So now that I have the selections made, again, I'm going to turn off the quick mask. That turns it into a selection. This whole side is selected. I can apply the blur there. And you can see it's applying it heavily here and a little bit here. This is a pretty small pixel image, so it's kind of affecting everything. But you can see the difference. So there you go. That's how you do that.